Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Hope you're doing great today. Thank you so much for being here, for being so supportive, and just making this a wonderful place to visit. I really do appreciate the fact that you are, you're all unique individual women over 60, but you've got a kindness about you for this, on the most part, that is really helpful when we're having conversations about things that are important, but maybe you don't agree with them completely. But we keep an open mind and we try to present things from a very fair and balanced perspective. And just thank you for practicing that art of good conversation and making each other feel welcome and important and understood. So thank you again for being here. So I've got my cup of tea this morning. What have I got here? I've got my puka love tea, which I love. It's got chamomile, rose, and lavender. So it's a really nice tea, and like I always say, that I've never met a tea that I didn't like, and but this is one of my faves. Love tea. So it's a good word too. Anyway, I hope that you're doing great. I'd also like to thank our sponsor for today's show. That's Puritan's Pride. Now, as I've mentioned, we take a big interest in health and well-being. We really value it highly. And if you visit the Puritan's Pride website, you'll be able to see how getting the right nutrition can help you contribute to a healthy lifestyle. So thanks to Puritan's Pride. Now, the topic for today. Topic is submitted by one of our bloggers, Pearly Ann Friedman. She lives in a very exotic place called Koh Lanta in Thailand. And she has some really interesting projects going on there. I've spoken to her on the phone on an interview, and she sent an article that I really thought was important, and I wanted to share it with you. Now, she went down to the beach just the other day in the morning for a walk, and she runs a lot. And she said that the ground was just covered with garbage. Flip-flops and plastic bottles and just trash. And she was so dismayed by that and really thought, goodness me, this is got to change. And a lot of countries like Bali and Thailand are faced with this as people go on holiday there and maybe kind of forget their good manners. And it's just so challenging. And the wildlife is being affected by it. The fish or the large fish are eating this plastic and birds. So anyway, it's an important topic. But she said that she's got some ways that she wanted to suggest for recycling and reusing and repurposing things. And she gives some reasons why this is important, and I think even if these weren't important, it's just our own sense of protecting the planet is important. But first thing is that we don't we collect. I mean, we're collectors of stuff. Part of it is that manufacturers make food products. They wrap it in plastic, and like a yogurt container, you get these little plastic containers. What do you do with those? Well, you can look for yogurt in glass bottles or in paper paper containers. But there's so many ways to be conscious of when we consume and fill our houses with all this stuff that we that we don't overdo it. And there is. I mean, I agree with this. She says there is an emotional benefit to to having a cleaner, more spacious, less crowded environment. It kind of clears your own mind when you've not got so much stuff all around you. So maybe she talks about a house diet. Is it time for you to have a house diet? And it's time to kind of recycle and reuse and repurpose things. So here's some other thoughts. She says that the plastic in the ocean, of course, is enormous. Recycling is so important, as I mentioned, because the garbage is going to end up in our either landfills or in the ocean. And recycling, there are so many programs now in your local communities where you can take products, plastic and so on, into a recycling center, and they will sometimes pay you for it even. I saw interesting, was it, I forget the company, but someone had a machine where you could take in plastic bottles and get a credit on your shopping. And then, of course, you can always do things like carry a bag, not a plastic bag, but a nice, beautiful cloth bag, or just even could be just a bag that you use for other things, for shopping, so that you actually don't use a plastic one. Most of the places that I shop in now actually charge for plastic bags. So I know this is a trend, and I think it's useful. We talked about the seas being polluted and animals being affected, but just so many reasons to do those things. It helps reduce our spending. Now, most of us are on a budget, it's true, and we actually have to be careful about how we spend things. So when you, like I said, when you go to buy yogurt tubs, think about it. Maybe buy, instead of 6 little ones, buy one big jar or one big tub, and then use that for something else. Use it for storage. I mean, you don't really need to, well, I shouldn't be saying this for plastic companies that like these comments, but you don't need to buy those Tupperware things, because you can just use like a yogurt tub or something else to, or maybe have a bit of a mix, but it's really important to, to reuse and repurpose. So maybe use the plastic container for, I don't know, storing something like buttons or your sewing ingredients. What you can do is put some like really cool paper around it. If you've got some spare paper, instead of throwing that away, or maybe some stickers, and just make it yours, make it unique. Maybe that washi tape, you can put that around. I do that with everything. I'll show you sometime. But anyway, it keeps us busy. You know, you're never going to be bored when you're coming up with lots of creative ideas for recycling. And ask people, just what do you do? I mean, what kind of recycling projects do you do? And there's so many videos now online where people are taking this very seriously, and they've got some very, very cool ideas. There's a website, I get it on Facebook too, called Blossom. I don't know. I think they're owned by a media company, so there's always an agenda. But they do these little videos of how to reuse common household things, and also how to how to make some recipes that are kind of creative and interesting. But they're all about being efficient with things and having fun, being creative. And that's a good one. It's called Blossom. You can find it on Facebook, and there's also a website, and they do a cookbook, but it's all good. So the other thing that Pearlie Ann says is that recycling is a really good conversation starter. You can talk to strangers about this. You can come up with endless creative ways to have a conversation about how to recycle or repurpose or reuse something. And people have great ideas, and I think people like creativity. And they even if you're not a creative person in your own mind, your one idea might be something that sparks, something in them. And so you should never be afraid of a kooky idea. And if someone comes up with a kooky idea, I suggest that you say yes and instead of yes, but. Always find something good in an idea. There's always a little jewel there. And of course, providing a way for you to be creative is in itself a really cool gift. And I do quite a few creative things now with jars. I buy big yogurt jars, like I mentioned, and I put other like beans and spaghetti and things like that in them, so that I can reuse them, repurpose them. And of course, clothing is another thing. I mean, if you've got clothing that is like, maybe got a hole in it or it's worn somewhere, you can just cut the sleeve off and just do, make it creative, or put, if something's, the elastic's run out, or needs a bit of more room in the waist, just do it yourself. You don't have to, be a great seamstress to do a little stitching. What did I do the other day? I was stitching, it was a hem on a skirt. I actually had a skirt. I bought it at a recycling place at our local place, but it was long. It was like a maxi skirt, and I wanted it to be a midi skirt, so I repurposed it. And I think, anyway, that's just some ideas of just the joy of being creative. And the thing that Pearlie Ann mentions, which really can only come from someone who's living in an expat community with lots of people supporting each other. And that living in community is a whole other topic that we could talk about. But it's that whole sense that, finding people that have shared and like-minded is really a great gift. It fills you up emotionally, spiritually, and every other way. And so having that ability to be creative with other people, build a lifestyle together that is, connected to a value that you share, like keeping the beaches in Koh-Lanta clean from pollution, is really a powerful way to find purpose and passion, and both in your life. In your 60s. So I think that's really kind of cool. Now, I would like to ask you, because I really do think this is a topic that you can help us with. And I give back to Pearlie Ann for the article. Give us some ways that you recycle, reuse, or repurpose items that you would normally have thrown away. How do you reuse, repurpose, and recycle things in your house? Everything from clothes to food products and in between. Let's leave a little few notes in the section below I really would like to share because I think it's something we don't think about all the time, but it's super important to our future. So how do you recycle, reuse, and repurpose? Okay, everybody, well, have a really good day. I hope that it's a good one for you, that you get out into the world and do something great for yourself. Take very good care, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.